So I'm working on a Lexus GS300, but this would also apply to the IS300 as well, both with the non-turbo variable valve timing 2JZ. The motor has a hesitation. This car actually had two problems. It had a hesitation off throttle, or when you just start pushing the gas from kind of a dead stop or low speed, like maybe 5-10 miles an hour, or a stop, and you floor it, and the car kind of like hesitates, like almost like feels like misfiring or lurching a little bit. Oh, and then once it goes past a certain RPM, maybe 2,000 or 1,500, it just runs great. But in this case, I had the misfire at mid RPM, and then it had a little bit of a flat power band. Like you floor it mid RPM, it just didn't seem, mid to high RPM, just didn't seem like it had the power it should have. So I took the mass airflow sensor off, and I looked inside, and it was dirty. So I cleaned it with a special cleaner that you get at auto parts store. It's just for mass airflow sensor cleaner, or just mass airflow sensor. Don't try to use anything else. Use that stuff. That stuff's great. I cleaned off the sensor, the two little pickup points inside. You know what? I'll just show you what one looks like. Okay, I took this off for you. So let's see. You can see inside there. Inside there, you can see those two little resistors. That's the mass airflow sensor. Okay, you clean it with the cleaner right there, focusing on those two. Okay, when that's clean, then you're good. And also this guy right here, this is, I believe, for the air temperature. When there's oil and dirt coating that, what happens is it gets a false reading. The computer thinks that actually the more air that passes over that, the colder the wire gets, or the resistor gets, and it gives a higher voltage signal. When it gets hot, when there's coating on there, it's almost like the little piece has the hot wire has like a jacket on, or coat. It's snuggled up and warm and fuzzy, and when it sees it's not going to see all the cold air blowing by, basically, so it's going to give a false reading. So you clean it, and it will get a better reading. Also, I noticed on install, you see how this is kind of loose, the O-ring. It kind of doesn't like to go back in very well. So what I like to do is kind of see how it's pinching. I get a flathead screwdriver and kind of poke it in a little bit until it sits flush. Okay, that's after doing that cleaning, I went for a test drive, and the mid to upper RPM power band came right back. The thing runs like amazing. It's got all the power it used to have. But it still had the hesitation off idle or off low speed. So I went back to check, and there's no check engine light code. So I took this off. You see how the exhaust is right there? Took this off to check it out. And look at that. You can see inside here. See that? That's a freaking crack. It's literally got a big ol' crack, and unmetered air is going through that. See? So this will fix the off idle hesitation. That's why it's getting unmetered air. It's sucking in basically air that hasn't gotten past the mass airflow sensor. It's the only inlet should be right here. There should be no air going in here. So that's why at idle, off idle, it had a hesitation. But then when you floor it, and it gets past that certain RPM, where it doesn't affect it so much. It's pulling in so much air that it doesn't matter as much. So that's why I checked that part. And sometimes these right here will crack or get leaks. It's pretty common too on the 2JZ. This is the little gasket between the intake and the electronic throttle body. That system is for the traction control system. Another thing that would be smart to do is to clean the throttle plate. That one looks pretty nasty, so I'm going to run a cleaner through that, the BG intake cleaner, and clean the throttle body plate and the rest of the intake system. And another problem that these have is the coil packs right here. These don't have 6 coils, they have 3 coils. This coil fires twice. It's called a waste spark system. So it fires and it sends spark to two cylinders at the same time. And there's the wire that goes to the other cylinder, and then that coil right here goes directly to a spark plug cylinder as well. So those can misfire because the connector gets old and corroded, or breaks off because it's plastic, gets old, and it can cause, these coils are pretty durable. I mean, these are original. This car has 330,000 miles, still runs great. So this connector right here tend to break, so you can replace those if you want. Be sure to do it with the engine off so it doesn't short. And the valve cover gasket, if oil's leaking out, it goes inside where the spark plug is and fills it up, and then that can also cause a misfire. If the coil is it'll send a spark, but it won't go through the spark plug. It'll go to the side of it'll go to the cylinder head because it's easier path to ground. So those are the most common causes for misfires and rough running on these engines. And you don't want to have the engine misfire run rough for too long, because those beautiful catalytic converters down there are very expensive, especially in California. And if you're driving with a misfire, you'll melt the catalytic converter because it's raw gas not being burned, and it ends up inside the cat, and the cat gets way too hot, starts melting, and that's not good. That could be also another reason. If you're driving around with a misfire for a long time, even a short time, a bad misfire can cause a melted cat, and the cat can clog up and make the car run rough. But I was lucky in this case. It was just this piece right here, which I'm going to fix today. Another issue sometimes, but you probably get a check engine light code, would be this throttle body or the throttle position sensor. This thing can wear out and send a bad signal or interrupt the signal. So, and the motor system can also fail too. So, but I just showed you the easiest 2 things to check: clean the mass airflow sensor and fix this common issue with the broken piece inside here, as you can see. Let me take this off so you can get a better look. Okay, I took it off for you so you can get a better look. Look at that. Would you look at it? Yeah, that is jacked up. This plastic is falling apart. It's falling apart because of all the heat. This is a resonator. You could bypass that with just a piece of piping, but if you want the engine to run quiet, you got to replace this piece or fix it. You might be able to fix it with some JB Weld. It doesn't look too complicated. In fact, that might be what I'm gonna do. But oh yeah, there's little cracks on the side too. Yeah, it's literally just crumbling from so much heat over long term from the exhaust. So yeah, Yeah, you can see daylight in there from the crack. Well, there's the inside. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to cause a problem. Well, I hope this video helps a lot of you guys out. There's a lot of videos on YouTube when you go searching, but they don't really give you the full story. So, anyways, if you happen to have a data system that shows you what's it called, the long-term, short-term fuel trim, what you'll notice that at idle, the short or in the long-term fuel trim will be maybe not off the chart unless this thing is totally broken, but it'll be off quite a bit. It'll be adding fuel, be like plus 15, plus 10, something like that, maybe more, plus 20 at idle. And then or cruising, that's a good way to check for this kind of a problem. And as for the mass airflow sensor, the voltage will probably be a little low when you're revving it up, but yeah. Okay, well, if this helped you out with your Lexus, your Sexus, post a comment and click on the like button and share the video for anyone who's having the same problem with their Lexus or their non-turbo Supra. Anywhere in the world, the same information helps. And by clicking on the ad or anything like that helps me out too. All right. Thank you so much.